By the end of the day today, I'm gonna be broke as
Colleen Hoover vanished from Instagram, only to return and delete every trace of Blake Lively. But why? And what does it mean for the film that was supposed to unite them?
Hoover is back on Instagram, but she's removed all traces of Blake Lively. Also, Hollywood, can we stop this narrative that both of them are marching towards mutually assured destruction? One of them's just trying to defend themselves.
It started like a ghost story in real time. One of the most beloved authors on the planet, Colleen Hoover, quietly returned to Instagram after weeks of silence. But something was off. Not just off, eerily calculated. Fans who had followed her every move noticed immediately. All posts featuring Blake Lively or Justin Baldoni were gone, scrubbed, erased, as if their existence had been a mistake she couldn't bear to remember.
Colleen Hoover is back. She's not retired, and she scraped all posts, mentions, photos of Blake Lively. The whole thing's gone. What does that mean?
The woman who had once gushed about Blake's kindness now acted like she'd never met her. But that's not all. Even her follower count had dropped. She unfollowed 11 accounts, possibly more, and Blake wasn't following her either.
Lee is in the news as a source says she never intended to sue. Why they're saying she did what she did and why it is very sinister and why it backfired. Also, like I said, Colleen Hoover is back and she has deleted some.
Suddenly, what was once a feel-good friendship between artist and actress turned into a full-blown digital Cold War. Theories exploded. Was it creative differences? A personal betrayal? Or something far more explosive happening behind the scenes? You won't believe what fans discovered next.
Finally, author Colleen Hoover, whose novel It Ends With Us was turned into the much talked about movie starring Justin Baldoni and novice film editor Blake Lively, is breaking her silence.
The timing of her return, right as the legal battle surrounding It Ends With Us heated up, raised even more eyebrows. Was she sending a message, taking sides, or protecting herself from a storm she saw coming? One thing's for sure. When an author starts rewriting her own social media history, it's never just about aesthetics, and we're only getting started. Colleen Hoover wasn't just deleting posts, she was spiraling on camera, sipping Diet Pepsi and talking about going broke. But this wasn't just a quirky meltdown, it was a warning. Imagine logging onto Instagram and seeing your favorite author, the queen of emotional storytelling, sitting on her couch holding a Diet Pepsi like it's the only thing keeping her sane. That's what Colleen Hoover's fans were hit with, a shaky, emotional video where she muttered something about being broke by 5 p.m. It wasn't polished, it wasn't filtered, it was raw, uncomfortable, and strangely cryptic. And the internet went wild. But here's where it gets interesting. This wasn't just a financial joke. Colleen sounded stressed, panicked even. She thanked someone named Stephanie in a way that felt more like sarcasm than gratitude. Then she teased her own downfall. Maybe TMZ was right, she said. Maybe I am firing all my employees and retiring. Her voice cracked. Her energy was off. This wasn't the Colleen fans knew. And suddenly, that Diet Pepsi wasn't funny. It was a red flag. Stick with me, because this next part explains everything. Right after that video, she asked fans to at least buy a piece of her merch, calling it almost free. It felt less like promotion and more like desperation. And for someone who sold millions of books and inked Hollywood deals, the message was loud and clear. Something was very wrong. And this breakdown, it wasn't random. It was the beginning of something much darker. They were the dream duo, Colleen Hoover and Blake Lively, promoting their passion project together. Now, it's radio silence, and you won't believe who cut ties first. Just a few months ago, their names were inseparable. Colleen Hoover, the literary phenomenon behind It Ends With Us, and Blake Lively, Hollywood's golden girl, were everywhere together. Red carpets, joint interviews, heartfelt Instagram captions. Colleen even posted a glowing tribute to Blake, calling her honest, kind, supportive, and patient. It read like a love letter. But then, like a switch flipped, it all disappeared. But hold that thought, because it connects to something even crazier. Colleen didn't just remove Blake from her feed. She removed the memory of Blake. No tags, no photos, no comments. It was as if Blake Lively had never touched her life or her project. Fans started comparing old post counts to the new ones. She had deleted 32 posts and unfollowed multiple people, including Blake. And Blake? No longer following Colleen either. That kind of mutual silence speaks volumes in Hollywood. And just when they thought it was over, Colleen's Instagram exit was sudden. She left after defending Blake publicly, loudly. She stood up for her when controversy first sparked around the film. So why the sudden cold shoulder? Did Blake betray her? Did Colleen learn something she didn't know before? We'll come back to that in a second. Because this ghosting wasn't personal, it was strategic. And the deeper you dig, the messier it gets. It Ends With Us was supposed to be a triumph, a beautiful partnership between author and actress. But behind the scenes, it was collapsing collapsing, fast. The moment it was announced that It Ends With Us would be turned into a movie, fans were ecstatic. Colleen Hoover's gut-wrenching story had already changed lives. Add to that the beloved Blake Lively and the always thoughtful Justin Baldoni as director, it was a dream team, on paper. But somewhere between the adaptation deal and the film's release, that dream twisted into something darker. Rumors began to leak, whispers of creative disagreements, script rewrites, power struggles. The facade of unity started to crumble. But listen to this. Fans noticed Colleen distancing herself. While she once praised Justin Baldoni for his vision, she began skipping appearances with him. She promoted the movie exclusively with Blake instead. The early trio became a duo. Then that duo became a solo act. By the time Colleen erased both stars from her social media, it was clear. This collaboration had quietly turned into a Cold War, and the reason will surprise you. Justin and Colleen were longtime friends. He'd been the one to pitch the adaptation to her, praising her work and swearing to do it justice. But somehow Blake ended up with all the power. People close to the production claimed she began taking over, demanding changes that softened the book's darker themes, steering the film in a direction that suited her brand more than the story. What happened next will shock you, because it wasn't just a clash of visions. It was the start of a legal storm. When Blake Lively's legal team demanded Justin Baldoni's phone records, emails, and even his location data, fans realized this was no petty feud. It was war. It started with whispers. Then, a subpoena hit like a bomb. Blake Lively's lawyers went full throttle, demanding every phone call, text message, email, and GPS ping from Justin Baldoni over the past 2.5 years. Not weeks, not months, years. Suddenly, the story of a troubled movie adaptation exploded into something much bigger, a battle for control, reputation, and truth. And the lines weren't just drawn, they were carved into Hollywood concrete. But that's not all. Blake's team told Entertainment Tonight they were ready to, expose the people, tactics, and methods that allegedly tried to bury her. That kind of language doesn't come out of nowhere. It's explosive, it's intentional, and it painted a picture of Blake not as a collaborator, but as a victim. Whether you believed her or not, one thing was clear. The gloves were off, and here's the twist. Justin's side hit back hard. He claimed Blake never intended to sue, that her legal threats were strategic, not sincere. He alleged she was colluding with the New York Times to manipulate public opinion while avoiding discovery in court. According to his amended lawsuit, this was a massive fishing expedition designed to damage his production company without actually opening Blake up to legal scrutiny. Remember this part, it's important later, because that claim, that Blake never intended to sue, might be the one detail that decides the future of this entire case. And trust me, the stakes are only getting higher from here. She was supposed to star in the film, not hijack it, but what Blake Lively did behind the scenes stunned even her biggest fans. At first, Blake Lively's involvement in It Ends With Us seemed like a win for everyone. She wasn't just cast as the lead, she was also made a producer. It was framed as a passion project, a dream role. Colleen Hoover praised her. Fans cheered. But as filming progressed, stories started surfacing that painted a much different picture. According to sources, Blake wasn't just acting. She was making decisions, rewriting scenes, and slowly pulling the reins from the original creative team. And it gets crazier. During a fan event called Book Bonanza, something wild happened. The movie wasn't finished, but Blake allegedly brought an unapproved version and screened it for fans, without Sony's permission. That move alone raised serious legal and ethical questions. Why bypass the studio? And more importantly, why was Justin Baldoni, the director, not even allowed at the event? Stick with me, because this next part connects the dots. It wasn't just about Blake's growing influence, it was about Justin's diminishing one. From that point on, Colleen started promoting the film with only Blake. Justin was out of the spotlight, and fans noticed. The once collaborative energy became strangely one-sided. And then, a resurfaced interview made everything worse, because Blake had done this before. In a 2009 Glamour interview, she admitted to turning an entire cast against an actor she didn't like, Penn Badgley, before realizing he wasn't a jerk. That quote came back to haunt her. Fans now wondered, had she done the same thing to Justin? You won't believe how far this feud was about to go. Colleen Hoover once said casting Justin Baldoni as Ryle wasn't her idea. But then the emails surfaced, and they told a very different story. For months, fans had been confused by Colleen Hoover's shifting stance on Justin Baldoni. First, she praised him. Then she distanced herself. At a major fan event, Book Bonanza, she even claimed it was his idea to play Ryle in the film adaptation of It Ends With Us. But in the middle of this storm of accusations, something resurfaced, something that couldn't be denied. Actual emails between Colleen and Justin. And what they revealed sent shockwaves through both fandoms. But here's where it gets messy. In an email dated April 12, 2019, Colleen wrote to Justin, "Have you given any thought to whether you'd want an acting role in this, say maybe Ryle, I can see it. That wasn't a casual comment. It was a casting suggestion. Her idea, her words. So when she later told a room full of fans that he had pitched the idea to play Ryle, it felt suspicious. Fans started to question everything. Was Colleen rewriting the past to distance herself from Justin? Hold that thought, because it connects to something even more bizarre. At the time of Book Bonanza, the movie was in a fragile state. Blake Lively had allegedly taken over major parts of the production. Justin was being edged out, and there Colleen was, on stage, subtly minimizing his role in the film. Was it an innocent misstatement, or a calculated move to protect herself as the Hollywood tides shifted? Whatever the answer, one thing became clear. This wasn't just about casting choices, it was about trust, alliances, and who would control the narrative, and the stakes were about to get even higher. Colleen Hoover said, "Some people don't want the truth to come out. They'd rather throw money at the problem than face it." She never named names, but fans think they know exactly who she meant. The line hit like a bomb. Subtle, yes, but packed with venom. In an interview, Colleen dropped the kind of quote that practically begs to be decoded. Some people don't want the truth to come out. They'd rather throw money at the problem than face it. She didn't point fingers. She didn't even flinch, but the internet did. Within hours, fans were dissecting the comment, drawing connections, and one name kept coming up, Blake Lively. But here's where the tension spikes. This wasn't just speculation. This came on the heels of Colleen deleting every mention of Blake from her socials, walking back her earlier praise, and returning to the public eye with a bizarre, jittery energy. Then came the merch video, where she joked about going broke, firing her staff, and even quitting. That doesn't sound like a woman at peace. It sounds like someone unraveling under pressure, someone who's seen too much. Keep watching, because this next bit is wild. Fans started linking Colleen's financial panic to possible legal drama. If Blake was threatening lawsuits or the production was crumbling behind the scenes, Colleen might have been stuck in the middle. She may have felt betrayed, trapped, and that cryptic quote, it wasn't just a dig, it was a scream through a closed window. The subtext was deafening. Someone powerful was silencing the truth and doing it with money. But the story was far from over, because if Colleen was finally ready to speak out, she wasn't going to be the only one with secrets to reveal. They all said she couldn't sue, that she was just a contractor. But California law had something else to say, and now Blake Lively might have the upper hand. When whispers of a possible sexual harassment claim surfaced, Blake Lively's legal team was quick to shut it down. They argued she was hired as an independent contractor by Justin Baldoni's production company, meaning she had no legal ground to sue him for any workplace misconduct. Case closed, right? Not quite, because then the legal experts stepped in, and what they revealed flipped the entire narrative on its head. But the reason this is happening will shock you. In California, the law protects more than just traditional employees. Under the Fair Employment and Housing Act, even independent contractors, people hired through their own companies, can still file harassment claims if certain conditions are met. And guess what? According to multiple legal sources, Blake checks almost every box. She didn't have control over her work location or schedule. She worked under the production's direction. In other words, she may have been a contractor on paper, but functioned as an employee in reality. And just when they thought she couldn't fight back, the court may still allow her to pursue the harassment claims under California law, even though the lawsuit is playing out in New York. That technicality could be the key to unlocking discovery, testimony, and possibly even damages. And suddenly, Blake wasn't just an actress in the middle of a messy film project. She was a woman with serious legal leverage. But hold that thought, because it connects to something deeper. What if this entire feud, all the deleted posts, the spiraling videos, and the industry silence is rooted in something darker than creative differences? And in our final segment, we'll uncover the ultimate question: who's telling the truth and who's rewriting the script? Everyone's gone quiet, the posts are gone, the lawsuits are sealed, and the truth still hiding in plain sight. This was supposed to be a best-selling novel turned into a beautiful film. Instead, It Ends With Us became a headline-grabbing mess. As the drama between Colleen Hoover, Blake Lively, and Justin Baldoni exploded online, fans expected statements, press tours, maybe even damage control. But what came next wasn't noise, it was silence. No Instagram posts, no interviews, no red carpet reconciliations, just a chilling quiet that raised more questions than answers. But here's where it gets haunting. Colleen reappeared on social media, but wiped her history clean. Blake's PR machine stopped spinning, and Justin, still locked in a legal web, trying to protect a story he once vowed to bring to life. The same fans who celebrated the adaptation now found themselves trapped in a conspiracy of contradictions. Colleen praised Justin, then erased him. Blake praised Colleen, then subpoenaed her collaborator. Nobody was on the same page anymore. And the reason will surprise you. It's not just about a movie. It's about power, about who gets to tell the story and who gets silenced. It's about image, reputation, and the legal chess game unfolding behind the scenes. Was Blake Lively unfairly vilified? Was Colleen Hoover playing both sides? Did Justin Baldoni lose control of the very project he created? Don't scroll yet, because here's the final twist. list. Florence Pugh, another rising star, was asked about the situation. She didn't name names, but she said this: "It's important to tell stories as they were meant to be told. The rawness of a book is what makes it powerful." And with that, she echoed what fans had feared all along, that somewhere in this Hollywood hurricane, the heart of It Ends With Us had been lost. So now the question isn't just what happened, it's will we ever get the truth?